Oh yeah, they don't let me have the microphone ever, so this is a serious problem.
In this episode, the Riff Crew are joined by Norway's cycling tyrant of black metal, Necrobutcher from Mayhem. And as always, a splattering of riffs.
Sage mentality. Baby, you're a tyrant! You are showing hypocrisy! Preacher's deliverance, entering fraternality! Is you to panic, sabotage accountability! The gods and nation, siege mentality! Baby, your warnings, fictitious catastrophe! Dread out perspective, chorus of incredulity! Never your difference, searching your morality reveals itself, established oligarchy.
Well, our next guest on the program is none other than Necrobutcher from Mayhem. I didn't want to give a long, drawn-out introduction because there is no need for that. He is Necrobutcher. Welcome to the program, my friend.
Hello, Andrew.
You've been kicking back, it looks like the rest of the world is at the moment.
Yeah. Well, there's not much else to do now. Just to take a little vacation.
Now, we spoke before we set up this interview that you said it's been the first time since '96 that you've actually had a proper vacation away from Mayhem, because the band has always been touring festivals, writing albums. Like, it's been a non-stop venture for you for most of your life.
Yeah.
Are you and the rest of the guys climbing the walls at the moment because, you can't get out there and perform?
Nah, I'm on vacation. I'm on holiday mood now. The other guys, I don't know. I know that they're busy with their own stuff, but personally, I just see this as a extended holiday. And like you said, it just dawned on me that I hadn't had a proper holiday since 1996. So maybe it was about time.
Do you find that it's giving you that chance to reflect on your career with Mayhem? Because a lot of people say this whole reset is giving them time to slow their lives down, see what matters, see what they could possibly change. Is any of that crept into your necro head?
Not really, Andrew. I was already there, but nothing is creeped up on me. But it's I mean, I wrote a book 5 years ago. That was more referring to what you were talking about, reflecting on what's going on, the past and stuff. And I'm doing actually the following up book now these days, collecting pictures and stuff. I have some problem with my ghostwriter. He's pretty eccentric, so he's kind of hard to get hold of these days.
What will the book sort of entail that you haven't already covered in the previous one? Is it still going to be based around your career with Mayhem, or just the life and times of Necrobutcher Part 2?
Life and Times of Necrobutcher Part 2 and Story of Mayhem is the same thing, Andrew. But no, the first book was about the first 10 years from we started up in '84 until Euronymous was killed in '93, and then so the next chapter it's going to be from '93 to basically where a nice place to end the second book would be where Attila joins in the band back in the band in 2006. So that's going to be and also that's also another important thing is that I stopped taking pictures basically in 2006 when everybody got their cameras on their phones. So suddenly everybody had a digital camera in their pockets, and so the art of photography disappeared, and the one-time disposable cameras obviously were not sold anymore, and that took the charm away from it. And so as these books I'm releasing is kind of picture books, then I guess that's going to be my last picture book, and then let's say the Death Archives Part 3, which is the end of the trilogy. It's going to be more words, like to sum it up, I guess, and then we can use some digital photos too. But it's not going to be any digital photos, just going to be all the analog. Basically, all the photos I have kept over the years in drawers and stuff. It's about time to get them out.
Now, I know that we mentioned earlier on, about we didn't mention it actually, the Lords of Chaos movie. I know you've been asked about this a few times, and it's been over a year since the film came out. And Mayhem's always had a lot of attention given to it anyway, especially the controversy surrounding the band's, whole career. I presume that film escalated that big time, but do you think it was an accurate representation of those times?
Not really. It's what the guy himself, Jonas Åkerlund, says in the beginning of the movie. It's based on truth and lies, so it gives him some freedom to move around a little bit. It's a snapshot. His Swedish, also Jonas, its own snapshot from back then when it happened. He was in Sweden reading the papers, watching the news, got his point of view from it, and that's a snap back from his perspective. So obviously based on us and based on the story, so a lot of it is similar, but he has taken some liberties in the story, put in some chick and put in some romance and put some stuff in, which is, and the different places is not accurate, and some names and stuff is not right. But what I can say to his defense, or put it in another way, what was good about the movie, or what I liked about the movie, was that they went in lengths to reproduce the wardrobe. So it was, they had the same T-shirts, same badges, same patches. The posters on the walls was the same. The wardrobe and also the locations also, it was pretty spot on, some of them. So some of the characters also looked like the people they portrayed. especially Metallion, I thought he looked like him.
I did interview Jonas around the time of the movie's release, and I was surprised when I went to the premiere that there were American actors, because I was expecting them to find some sort of local Norwegians just to give it that authenticity, even though it was filmed in your region. And I sort of said, was that an on-purpose thing? And he said, yeah, it's all about giving it a broader appeal rather than just making it a foreign film, because, you know, it's got to go to a broader market. So, but overall, I mean, like I said, there's characters, and as you said, there's truth and some lies. But do you think it made, you know, like, do you think it made the black metal scene look stupid, like some of these movies can do, like the Motley Crue movie, The Dirt? That's like Wayne's World 3.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
You got to watch it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. No, you know what? There was a big fuss about it in the papers and stuff. This movie, and but after it came out, it kind of, I don't know, didn't hear much back afterwards. So it was more before anybody had seen the film. I think actually what happened was that it was a lot of fuss, and all the papers called me wanted me to say something about it and stuff. And then I told them all that, well, let me watch the movie first, then I can comment on it. So I watched the movie, and then nobody called. So I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe it's because when they saw the film, they realized this is actually not it's a pretty sad story, really. And maybe they didn't feel like calling people who were involved, because obviously if you watch the movie, it's, like I said, it's not a nice movie. I mean, it was not about nice things, and it was about maybe one of the worst times in my life. So, I think think the press got it, and just thought, oh shit, it was bad luck for these guys, instead of all this fucking hype, Satanism, and all this stuff. Plus, it's been 30 years now.
It seems every time Mayhem, or yourself in particular, gets interviewed, is that people want to drag up things that happened 25, 30 years ago. And Mayhem is very much an alive entity. You guys have really, put out quite a large amount of music in the last 25 years, and a great album with Demon. Do you kind of get sick of people asking you about things that happened decades ago?
Nah, not really.
They're interested. There you go.
Yeah.
He loves it.
You know what? Don't love it. I mean, I would like to have other questions, like, how the fuck do you look so good at 52 and stuff like that? No,
because you're working on your tan in Indonesia.
Seriously, these guys were friends of mine. These two pastors, let's call them that. And I love the fact that people haven't forgot about it, but I am a little bit surprised, and I'm still it's still surprising me, when this comes up again and again. But at the same time, it pleases me that these people are not forgotten by other people. I mean, I'm sure as hell never gonna forget them, because they were friends of mine. But so no, I don't get sick of it, and I mean, who doesn't love to talk about the old days? I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Sitting around the campfire talking about the old stories. It's just like we did back when we were fucking caveman.
So you think we'll get a Campfire Songs with Necrobutcher solo record in the future?
You're getting it right now. I mean, we have the balcony sessions now.
The weather looks fantastic.
It's nice. It's a nice morning. So when just to tell the listeners here, or the viewers, and I was contacted by Andrew Hogg, and since Andrew is an old friend of mine, I said directly yes to participate in this. I didn't really think much about it. And then I was thinking maybe we should do it on. This is gonna be some kind of Skype or something. And then I got this app I had
Zoom.
to download. And to tell you the truth, I didn't download it before like half an hour ago, and I slept maybe 2 hours last night because it's easy to turn the day around when you have a fixed time in the morning to get up or time to get up. Kind of, I have to change the day around sometimes to get to do in the business hours, let's say. So I guess I'm going to use this opportunity to launch my day and not go back to bed. As I actually was thinking about just before we got online here, I'm thinking I'm just going to finish my coffee now. I'm going to go straight back to bed. But this is a beautiful day, and I'm going to jump on my bike instead.
So I'm not as up to school, if you like, with the history of Mayhem as Andrew is. But the name Necrobutcher, is that like a necromancer who sells quality sausages? What's the derivation behind that?
The idea behind first was we had to come up with some cool nicknames, since our heroes were called Kronos and Montas and stuff like that. So we were heavily inspired by a band called Hellhammer, and we stole some of their ideas and names, like Maniac. I don't know, maybe he took his name from GBH, actually, the song Maniac there. But Hellhammer obviously is Hellhammer, but Hellhammer was in his story would be like it's from Filthy Animal Taylor, because that was his hero. But I took it from Hellhammer. The guy called himself, I think it was the bass player, called himself Slade. No, it was the drummer called Slade Necros or something. And then I was playing around with this Necro thing, and then I came up with Necrobutcher, and somebody said to me, "Hey, you can't put these two words together. It's the wrong English grammatics. Necrobutcher is you can't put them together." And I thought that was perfect for me, because that was a little bit, it was not even English correct. So I mean, we're just with a crazy stupid name like that, and it's not even written correctly, not to fucking mess with those people, if you know what I mean. This is a strong message. Don't fuck with me. I'm Necrobutcher, you see.
So there was definitely that element of shock rock, and shock rock's been around since the birth of rock and roll. But when you think of where we are today, is like where do you think the next realm or the next plateau or next frontier is for shock rock?
That's a tough one. Today, I think, isn't most boundaries is blown long time ago, and there's nothing anybody is afraid of anymore in the after we turn on the light in the civil side of the world. I think maybe some countries which is kind of backwards maybe can have some shock effects by playing on blasphemy and in these Catholic countries. I noticed something funny when I played in Indonesia, where me and Andrew met last time, by the way, that all the bands into extreme metal have some kind of pornography on their album covers, and all the songs are about porn and stuff. It's because that's the shocker in Indonesia, because porn is totally illegal. So, I mean, it made me laugh, but at the same time, it's like, okay, so that's still kind of shocking there. So that's what they use. So it's for us here in the western side of the globe. I don't know. Is there anything left to shock?
I think we're incredibly desensitized as a society, especially in Western society. And I did chat with this topic a while back with Selenos from Dimmu Borgir about how black metal has sort of lost its edge and its danger, and he agreed because the shock value, I believe, to a degree, is completely gone, and I think at the same time
Let
too.
me cut in before you say the rest. Let me cut in. When he put the keyboards into this demo board, you think that's when it was gone? Yeah.
No keyboards, no Colt.
No, I mean, there's a lot of people who are into that stuff, and I take my hat off for their success and stuff, and they're brilliant musicians and stuff. But they kind of, I mean, in my world of the aggression, kind of loses the edge when you mellow it out with keyboards. If you don't use it in some other weird way, but that was just trying to be funny on Silnesio's behalf here. But no, he's right. Where to go now? How to shock anybody? So the shock effect is gone in that sense. But I mean, for us, we haven't been looking for the shock effects. I think the shock effects have been looking for us. And take an example is like when we tour around the world, like we come to Germany someplace and the local promoter comes up and says, "Where's the pig heads? Where's the pig heads?" And we're like, "No, don't have any pig heads with us." And they're like, "Yes, but I'm in contact with the local butcher shop. We can get some, and they start to stress around to get these fucking heads. And, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't get any heads, but they have slaughtered some horses. Maybe we could bring some horse heads." And then we're like, "Okay, bring the fucking horse heads then. Fuck,
It seems like the band's moved on from worrying about that element of the shock value of, pig heads and things like that. Is it still purely about the music for you? Because I think that's what keeps Mayhem true, is the spirit of the music and the aggression of the music versus the aesthetics and the costume, so to speak. Because now, like I said, black metal's almost a parody now. People just make fun of it with the corpse paint.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But for us, I'm thinking, there is this guy. There's some aesthetics with live shows, for example, that there is some things that we still worry about, how to get the aesthetics right, for example. So it's kind of a unified force. So we don't have one guy with an orange t-shirt and one guy with a blue hat. It's more like the same kind of expression. And then we put on some stuff, some side drops and stuff to make the stage into kind of maybe in the try to project it as into a church or into a smaller room or into a dungeon or whatever we're trying to project. So there still is live element of the show element, and also but we like to use backdrops that has something to do with the albums. Let's say we perform something from the new album, that we would have the new Demon backdrop up. We perform something from Death Crush, we would have the red logo, Death Crush logo in the back and stuff like that. So it's still important with the show elements, but the shock effect, I don't know. It's not about that at all, and it hasn't been about that for many years for us. I mean, so many years, so I wouldn't even think. I mean, that must have been back in where Maniac, in the middle of the set, suddenly forgot the lyrics and thinking, what the fuck to do now? I just cut myself up a little bit with this fucking knife here, and then, oh shit, now I remember the lyrics, and then went back on something like that, which is kind of a shocker. But I mean, today people do crazy stuff like put their head into their own ass and stuff. I mean, where to go from that?
Yeah, it's almost like most things have been done, and you either have to just do something completely over the top, which is what now. I mean, yeah, we're in a bit of
Now
a.
it's about the music. Now it's about the music, mostly, you know, or and I'm very happy about how we, you know, when we tour around the world with this, when we release an album and we tour around the world, and we have a new concept for every time. So it's something interesting for the audience to see also. So we're just not showing up there in our jeans and just with our guitars there, and you know, we have you know, professional crew with us and stuff. So make sure that you know, that the performance is going to be of a high quality, and you know, we will never skip on that. That's why we never made any money. You know, put all the money into the production always. You know, it's ridiculous. Sometimes I have to say to the guys, you know, like, when are we going to make some money here? You know, like every time we make money, yeah, let's hire in this pyro guy and just blow everything. Like every time the bomb goes off on stage, like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Like nothing left.
When
But
it,
we had a lot of fun, and people loved it, you know. So it was worth it in the end. And I'm sitting here. Look at it. It's beautiful. I'm still alive. I'm drinking my coffee, doing my interview on the Hog Radio, or what's it? What is it called now? Is it Hog Radio?
yeah, it's still andrewhogue.com, but this is also another TV show we've created called the Riff Crew with my co-host Stephen. But back to the Mayhem world, when it comes to writing new music, I mean, how do you get in the headspace of that spirit that you've carried for 30 years? You still, I mean, obviously it's there because you're still doing Mayhem music, but when, you know, you get together with Hellhammer, and how do you sort of get into sort of Mayhem mode?
Oh yeah, when we get together, it's Mayhem immediately. So that you don't have to switch on any modes, or there's no hocus pocus. You know, when we are together, it's Mayhem. When it comes to the creativity, I myself, I have backed down a little bit over the years because we had awesome songwriters with Blasphemer and Tellock and Charles Hedger now, and so I kind of just stepped back for a little bit. But on this new album, I'm happy to say that I come back from last album I did anything on was the Mysterious Dom Santanas when Curse in Eternity, the lyric I wrote for that album, and now I've managed to write a lyric for this album too, called Bad Blood. So this one was more like a joint cooperation with and also managed to, or I didn't manage. Charles also managed to get in 4 songs on the album, so out of the 12, and so it kind of gives the album a little bit more diversity. And I think for myself, I'm more happy with this album than the previous 2. I would say that this album, the Demon album, is the best album we released since the Grand Declaration of War, released in 2000.
Wow. And why is that so for you?
I don't know. Everything came in right here. The production, the recording, the time was right to release that album. And I think, you know, I'm not superstitious, but, you know, Demon, the Demon World Tour. So the COVID-19 came and stopped that. But hey, we just, you know, take one step back, but we're coming back, you know, with a vengeance here. And let's hope that the thing starts up again in February, March, where our next tour is postponed to. So, and then we can get back down under too, you know.
Absolutely, you're always welcome.
Thank you. And we love to play in Australia. Fantastic continent. And I always kick back when I'm there, either with my friends in Perth or my friends in Melbourne or my friends in Brisbane. So friends all over the place. And I also make sure that when I go all the way down under, I always stay either 14 days before or 14 days after the tour, depending on if we have gigs coming after the tour or if you're coming straight from a tour. Especially I love Perth. I love the because it doesn't really matter what time of year it is. It's always great. Maybe it's a little bit too great in the in the summertime. If you know what I mean, like over 40 degrees, that's not cool.
And let's go back to your favorite records from, I guess, 1980 to 1985 as far as heavy metal. Name 3 that still capture that spirit for you at that time in your life.
From 87 to 1990?
No, 3 albums that you grew up listening to from 1980 to 1985 or 84 that gives you that spirit every time you listen to it.
Okay. Oh, fuck. That question, you should never ask a musician questions like that, you know. It's like, it's which album to pick. Well, I would say Keith Richards released a single called Harder They Come. And that was just when all the fuck happened with Mick Jagger, and they become enemies, and he was on the bench with heroin and all that stuff. He released this single called Harder They Come and Run Rudolph Run. It's actually 2 cover tracks. And that was the same year as this Gimme Some Neck by Ron Wood came out. I think that was his 3rd or 2nd solo album at the time. And there was something about that. Something about the transmission between blues, rhythm and blues, rock and roll. But it was something raw there with these 2 guys, Ronnie Wood and again Keith Richards, that kind of put me on the right path. And then on that path, I found Ace of Spades, and that solved a lot of clues. And obviously, I would say black metal from Venom. That was the last puzzle. And then we had the whole picture, and then we did it ourselves. I wouldn't say that it gives me the same buzz, but of course I'm listening back to this. I was just listening back to some maxi singles from Venom from back in the 80s with Bursting Out and Acid Queen and these B singles, the B-sides of all this, the singles that came up in the 80s. They're all my favorites, Lady Lust and all those. And this is the time tunnel for me. Also a lot of the other albums I listen to. I just listened to Life of Dreams here the other day. Crumbsuckers, an album they released, I think it was 87.
Yep.
So it's a lot of albums. And I wouldn't say that, as a musician, when I'm hanging up this conversation here, I'm always going to think, oh, should I mention that album or should I mention that album? And this is why that's why I always think that this is a very difficult question. Like yesterday I was out biking and I stopped up somewhere in the field where I had an accident with a car in 1987. And I was just rewinded myself back to that summer when I was listening to Killing Technology with Voivod, for example, and I had that in the car, where and listening to minutes before I off the road there. So music is a portal to your brain, to remember stuff. It's the same thing with the smells and even the weather. Even sometimes weather can bring in some memories about stuff. And, it's weird how it is. But and I'm also struggling to make these lists. I always get all these downloaders, this streaming stuff, like want me to make these lists, like playlists and stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, that's easy, but ending up having to use over a week just to find out what is my actually 10 favorite albums.
It's not easy, is it? But again, it's not set in stone. It can always change.
And it changes, from week to week. In a way, depending on your spirit, So, and it's different music for different occasions. Like, for example, CC Top. I never listened to CC Top anywhere else. In my car, I listen to CC Top because it's kind of car music. I like to put the, I like to go fast with my car when I listen to CC Top, of some strange fucking reason. And I like to do dishes when I when I do dishes, because I don't have a dishwasher. And no, it's not because I can't afford it. It's just because I think it's gross. I don't think have you smelled glasses and stuff coming straight out of a dishwasher?
Yeah, I don't have one either. I don't have one either.
Funny smell. When you drink milk and you get that funny smell, that funky smell from the dishwasher. Fuck that. So I have to do everything. I'm very OCD with this washing up stuff. I have this ways how to do it. And also I'm fixed with, I have to listen to Napalm Death.
Which record?
Actually, they just get fucking more and more aggressive over the years. I thought that these guys would kind of cool down, but they are getting fucking more and more aggressive. But I could pick a lot of albums, but let's say the Diatribes.
Brilliant. That's such an underrated album. That's when the band had a groove element and everyone's like, where's the blast? But that's got some of their best songwriting from that record. That's one of my favorite albums. They toured Australia for the first time on that tour in '96, and that's when I first met Jesse, and I've obviously been in touch with Mitch and Shane for a long time.
Mitch Harris is a fucking genius. Shane Ambry too. Fucking geniuses. It's unbelievable. The riffs and the aggressivity of the whole thing. It's oof.
How does the satisfaction of completing an album compare to completing a book?
Yeah. Many of the same things, because it's about something you work on, and then you have a release date, and then you have all the critics, and then you have the people's reactions and all that. That's similar. But with the book, it's a little bit, first of all, for me, it's less people involved, so it's not so messy, and it's not so stressful, even though the publishers and everybody is screaming for, deadlines is coming and going and stuff. But it's much worse when you are in the music business. And since I have released, how many albums is it? 20 or something, but only one book. I can't really say that much about it, except that it's more, let's say, it's a really good thing for me, especially because I'm kind of I collected all kinds of stuff over the years, pictures and stuff, and because I felt like it was important to keep it. And then now, when I was writing the book, brought all the stuff back, all the photos and stuff, and it just gave me a pleasure to think about that. Yeah, I was right for keeping this stuff because I had a plan. I didn't even know what the plan was. I just knew that I had to keep it because I knew it was important for me at least. And it turned out it was important for a lot of other people too. And since this is so many years of collecting stuff, and we actually just had to break up the story into 3 because otherwise the book would be like 1,000 pages. And so these books are about 250 pages instead. So we just needed to focus on the 10 first years. And it was like, it was a good thing to do it because memory is not getting better over the years. And I needed to get this thing out before I forgot it myself. And now with the next chapter is also talking about from the 90s. So that's getting, that's 30 years ago, 25 years ago already too. I mean, people don't remember that much. Even, what happened last week,
Yeah.
So, it's like I hold on to all this information, and I finally got into the book, and could kind of close the chapter in a way. So it's it's a bigger thing than only one album. Is more like a 3-year concept. While a book is a bigger thing and spawns over more years and stuff. But it's some of the same satisfaction to have been working on something for a long time and then release it and then and ride on that for a while. I'm still doing book things, signing sessions, going around. I just got the French edition out now. It's coming out next month. It was supposed to come out in September because of the COVID stuff. It was held back a month. But so the translations are coming. Japanese translation, the Hispanic translation is coming out. The English translation came out 4 years ago. So yeah.
Well, we look forward to. I look forward
Yeah.
to the follow up, and you've had a remarkable life thus far, Mr. Necrobutcher. So we'll have to wrap things up. But again, it is always a pleasure to finally catch up with you. And don't go to sleep now. The weather's too good for you to sleep. So enjoy the rest of your day. Get on your trail bike, crank some ZZ Top.
I definitely will. And I'm also following your trails, your running trails.
Oh yeah,
Put
the
them
metal
up on
the metal marathon man.
Seriously, man. Like, but I'm doing the same, but I'm not putting it out online. Because
Tell the
otherwise
world.
Otherwise, I've had people on my route sharing the flags. And say, go, Necro. You know what? I'm already fucking writing autographs in my fucking supermarket when I stop to buy some water and stuff. So it's crazy how things, from public enemy number 1 to public
Homeland
hero
hero.
number 1.
I think it's
Fucking
great.
hero.
Well, you've stayed true. You've kept it real, and we love that. So.
Finally, the good guys get to be heroes.
This was called Bleed for Me.
We're up to the letter F, and we're not going to be featuring Fu Manchu, because who doesn't know Fu Manchu, Andrew?
I hope a lot of people know him, but there probably would be people out there that wouldn't.
I know it's a very ignorant world that we live in, but no, it's a different letter F band. Who is it today?
I was tempted to do Fu Manchu, to be honest, because I know you would have indulged as well, and the segment probably would have gone for at least an hour, because we're both massive fans of the Chew.
Absolutely.
Have a look. But a band that most people probably don't know too much about is a group with probably one of the most ridiculous band names, Fudge Tunnel. That's the name of the group, Fudge Tunnel, from the UK. Now, they formed, I think, around 88, 89 with Alex Newport, and some of you might be familiar with that name because Alex Newport had a project with Max Cavalera called Nail Bomb in 93. But, of course, Fudge Tunnel were a UK band. I think 3 albums, got 2 here. 3 records and a string of EPs and also a bunch of compilations as well. But a very short career, like 89 to 96, 97 is kind of when they sort of disbanded, which is a real shame because they really had their own vibe going on in the mid-90s. They really had that kind of, what some would call that sludge, post-rock, metal. They just had their own thing, a bit like Prong. It's just sort of melding sounds, but you hear it and go, well, yeah, they're doing something cool and different. And they did a lot of touring throughout the early 90s across Europe and the UK, and mainly with Sepultura as well on the KLCD tour. So I think that's kind of what gave that band a lot more notoriety, purely because, you know, that's when Sepultura sort of really hitting their peak and doing lots of gigs. And speaking of the Cavaleras, I acquired this from the Cavalera household a few years back, a Fudge Tunnel long sleeve.
You pitched that out of the laundry while Max wasn't watching?
Yeah, I said, I want to take that. Because I remember seeing Max having photos of this shirt that had hate, hate, hate. And I'm like, what the hell is that shirt? That looks sick. And then I found out that it's a Fudge Tunnel shirt, and I saw it in a box. I said, mine, mate. So there you go. But a really good band. Alex obviously went on to be a producer, which he's still doing now. I think he might be still playing in another group, but again, he's would have shifted away from the sort of metal stuff. I think he was producing at the Drive-In and Block Party. You know, he sort of moved into the more sort of alternative indie, heavy rock sort of stuff, and done very well for himself. So good work, Alex. And again, just such a great band to check out. You know, there were a few of these sort of bands in the very early 90s or mid-90s that had that sludge thing, Raging Speedhorn. God, there's another band name that Medulla Knocked, I think, from the UK. So there was a bit of an up-and-coming scene of that kind of sludgy sort of sound. And now there's, you know, plenty of subgenres related to that sort of genre. But definitely check out some of these bands that originated this sort of sound because they were doing something different, and it's always good to go back to the originators and acknowledge their presence and what they've left. And again, every band's on Spotify now, so it's easy to go back, or it's easy to rediscover or rediscover, you know, this music that most people probably didn't know back then because there was like a label war, everyone trying to get on labels and get signed, and those who weren't deemed successful. Different world now. I think it's great that you can these bands get a rebirth. So I encourage you to check out Fudge Tunnel, Metal Homeschool, the letter F.
And with, because you did mention Nail Bomb, and I know it's not the letter F, but do you think that was kind of like just a side project that distracted Alex away from Fudge Tunnel, and that's why the band kind of wound up? Or
that's a good question.
As you mentioned, they weren't around that long.
Yeah, that's, I guess, a good question, because Alex was married to Max's wife's daughter, Christina, and I guess, he was living over in Arizona, and they ended up using, I think, the spare bedroom of I think it was the babysitter's room when Zion was, I think, maybe 2 or something, and that's what they used to jam out and what became the Nail Bomb record. So obviously Alex being over in Arizona, living there, I guess being away from the UK and his bandmates and doing that, and again, Nail Bomb didn't do a lot. They did 2 shows, I think, in their sort of history, the Dynamo warm-up show and then the Dynamo Festival show in 95, which I think they had was called Proud to Commit Commercial Suicide or something, keeping it punk rock. And yeah, I mean, I guess him moving back and forth from the US and the UK maybe saw the fallout of the group overall. I'm not 100% sure if it was a bad split or just, time to do other things. But bang, there's history there. So I would definitely look up Fudge Tunnel if you are a fan of the sludge. Wouldn't say doom or anything like that. They just got really good songs. There's just like a really punk edge to it. Not so much. It's almost kind of like an edge of the earlier Soundgarden sort of work, but just a little bit heavier. But I wouldn't say it's straight up metal or anything like that. It's just a hybrid of heavy sounds, so worthy of a checkout. So Fudge Tunnel.
Thank you so much.